From the 20th to the 23rd of June 2022, civil society and member states from the Pacific gathered in Nadi, Fiji for the regional dialogue on the draft regional framework on climate mobility.
Whaalofa, otherwise compassion. Now this has been affected and impacted by climate migration and indeed climate change. In terms of it becoming much more expansive, it is about lending a hand to a greater number of our people in need. So that will have changed and that will continue to evolve and change. On the other hand, we also have a desperate group of people whose resources have become decreased, have become affected, and therefore they have limited space and scope to whaalofa or give compassion to others. So that would be a most impacted cultural value.
Currently in our climate change adaptation work, we're engaging with 3 communities, Vuni Savisavi, Naviavia and Vuni Dongoloa. In Vuni Dongoloa, they have successfully relocated, but that does not mean that that conflict has been resolved. They came into a foreign land. They were used to living in the coast as our Itoke setting in our village system is people need to be self-supported and to live off the land, directly off the land, because the towns and cities are far away.
There are a number of communities that have been relocated as part of the government's program. It impacts community or the country as a whole at different level, how it impacts government in terms of their policies and priorities. Then it comes down to subnational and then to national at the local level or at the grassroots communities where they are the ones who are most affected. It's easier said than done when you talk in a room like today, than actually guiding the communities and work alongside them, accompany them in the process for them to be not only rehabilitated but be mobilized into their new environment. It's not easy.
Women have been on the front lines of climate mobility. So for example, in Bougainville, women helped prepare receiving communities, as well as communities being relocated from the Carteret Islands using a peace-building approach. And so that's where I take my knowledge in terms of understanding from many, many years ago what this really meant in terms of not only communities that are affected, but more importantly, the leadership role that women play at such time.
In Solomon Islands, one of the main challenges for relocation is land. Land in Solomon Islands, 85% of it is customarily owned. So if we want to relocate people or communities, we have to go through the landowners. And sometimes this is a complex process. So with this guideline, maybe it will assist us on how we can find solutions, work with the communities, the landowners, so that everyone is on the same page.
Some islands are atoll islands, some volcanic islands. So you probably have to look into that context to actually identify the needs of and be reflected in the framework.
In the Tongan context, the most important and the most valuable thing we have is kainga, that's our family. And one thing that I'm hearing a lot of is that if at any point our communities have to relocate, the important thing we do is ensure that they relocate as a body and as a community so that we're not breaking them up, to ensure that that kainga is still there and intact no matter where we go, because our culture and our identity isn't just tied to the land, it's tied to our people. And so isolation and relocating people in different areas, I guess, is going to cause out a lot of issues. And so Kainga is what I would say is the strongest value that I know will be affected by climate mobility.